Good morning. Today is May 1st, and we are going to read 1 Samuel 4. And the word of Samuel came to all of Israel. Now Israel went out to battle against the Philistines and encamped beside Ebenezer. And the Philistines encamped in Aphek. Then the Philistines put themselves in battle array against Israel. And when they joined battle, Israel was defeated by the Philistines, who killed about 4,000 men of the army in the field. And when the people had come into the camp, the elders of Israel said, "Why has the Lord defeated us today before the Philistines? Let us bring the ark of the covenant of the Lord from Shiloh to us, and when it comes among us, it may save us from the hand of our enemies." So the people sent to Shiloh that they might bring from the ark of the covenant of the Lord of hosts, who dwells between the cherubim. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant of God. Here's a note. Dwells between the cherubim. A repeated phrase used to describe the Lord. See 2 Samuel 6, 2 Kings 19, and it gives more verses. It spoke of his sovereign majesty, Hophni and Phinehas. These were the two wicked sons of Eli, of whom it was said that they did not know the Lord. The fact that they were mentioned together recalls the prophecy that they would die together. And when the ark of the covenant of the Lord came into the camp of all Israel shouted so loudly that the earth shook. Now, when the Philistines heard the noise of the shout, they said, "What does the sound of this great shout in the camp of the Hebrews mean?" Then they understood that the ark of the Lord had come into the camp. So the Philistines were afraid, for they said, "God has come into the camp." And they said, "Woe to us, for such a thing has never happened before. Woe to us! Who will deliver us from the hand of these mighty gods? These are the gods who struck the Egyptians, with all the plagues of the wilderness. Be strong and conduct yourselves like men, you Philistines, that you do not become servants of the Hebrews, as they have been to you. Conduct yourselves like men and fight." So the Philistines fought, and Israel was defeated, and every man fled to his tent. There was a very great slaughter, and there fell in Israel 30,000 foot soldiers. Also the ark of God was captured, and the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, died. The ark of God was captured. In spite of their hopes to manipulate God into giving them victory, Israel was defeated, and the ark fell into the hands of the Philistines. The view of having the ark of God being equivalent to having control of God, possessed both by Israel and then the Philistines, is to be contrasted with the power and providence of God in the remaining narrative. So it is always good to go before the Lord in prayer before you seek to do something that may not be his will for your life. Then a man of Benjamin ran from the battle line that same day and came to Shiloh with his clothes torn and dirt on his head. Now when he came, there was Eli sitting on a seat by the wayside watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of God. And when the man came into the city and told it, all the city cried out. And when Eli heard the noise of the outcry, he said, "What does the sound of this tumult mean?" And the man came quickly and told Eli. Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were so dim that he could not see. Then the man said to Eli, "I am he who came from the battle, and I fled today from the battle line." And he said, "What happened, my son?" So the messenger answered and said, "Israel has fled before the Philistines, and there has been a great slaughter among the people. Also your sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God has been captured." Then it happened when he made mention of the ark of God, that Eli fell off his seat backward by the side of the gate, and his neck was broken, and he died. For the man was old and heavy, and he had judged Israel 40 years. Now his daughter-in-law, Phinehas's wife, was with child, due to be delivered. And when she heard the news that the ark of God was captured, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, She bowed herself and gave birth, for her labor pains came upon her. And about that time of her death, the woman who stood by her said to her, "Do not fear, for you have borne a son." But she did not answer, nor did she regard it. Then she named the child Ichabod, saying, "The glory has departed from Israel," because the ark of God had been captured, and because her father-in-law and her husband had died. And she said, "The glory has departed from Israel, for the ark of God has been captured." Ichabod, the glory has departed. Due primarily to the loss of the ark, the symbol of God's presence, Phinehas' wife names her child Ichabod, meaning either where is the glory or no glory. To the Hebrew, glory was often used to refer to God's presence. Hence, the text means, where is God? The word departed carries the idea of having gone into exile. Thus, to the people of Israel, the capturing of the ark was a symbol that God had gone into exile. Although this was a mindset of Israel, the text narrative will reveal that God was present even when he disciplined his people. Chapter 5. Then the Philistines took the ark of God and brought it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. And when the Philistines took the ark of God, they brought it into the house of Dagon and set it by Dagon. And when the people of Ashdod arose early in the morning, there was Dagon fallen on its face to the earth before the ark of the Lord. So they took Dagon and set it in its place again. And when they rose early the next morning, there was Dagon fallen on his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord. The head of Dagon and both palms of its hands were broken off on the threshold. Only Dagon's torso was left of it. Therefore, neither the priests of Dagon nor any who came into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon's in Ashdod to this day. But the hand of the Lord was heavy on the people of Ashdod, and he revenged them and struck them with tumors, both Ashdod and its territory. And when the men of Ashdod saw how it was, they said, "The ark of God of Israel must not remain with us, for his hand is harsh toward us and Dagon our God." Therefore they sent and gathered to themselves all the lords of the Philistines, and they said, "What shall we do with the ark of God of Israel?" And they answered, "Let the ark of God of Israel be carried away to Gath." So they carried the ark of God to Israel away. And so it was, after they had carried it away, that the hand of the Lord was against the city with a very great destruction. And he struck the men of the city, both small and great, and the tumors broke out on them. Therefore they set the ark of God to Ekron. They sent it to Ekron. And so it was, the ark of God came to Ekron, and the Ekronites cried out, saying, "They have brought the ark of God of Israel to us to kill us and our people." So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines and said, "Send away the ark of God of Israel, and let it go back to its own place, so that it does not kill us and our people. For there was a deadly destruction throughout all the city, and the hand of God was very heavy there. And the men who did not die were stricken with the tumors, and the cry of the city went up to heaven." Psalm 54, 1-7. To the chief musician, with stringed instruments, a contemplation of David when the Ziphites went and said to Saul, "Is David not hiding with us? Save me, O God, by your name's sake, and vindicate me by your strength. Hear my prayer, O God. Give ear to the words of my mouth." Not namesake. It says, "Save me, O God, by your name, and vindicate me by your strength. Hear my prayer, O God. Give ear to the words of my mouth." Here's a note. By your name. In the ancient world, a person's name was essentially the person himself. Here, God's name includes his covenant protection, vindicate. David requests that God will execute justice for him as in a court trial when a defendant is declared not guilty. "For strangers have risen up against me, and oppressors have sought after my life. They have not set God before them. Selah. Behold, God is my helper, and the Lord is with those who uphold my life. He will repay my enemies for their evil and cut them off in your truth. I will freely sacrifice to you, and I will praise your name, O Lord, for it is good. For he has delivered me out of all trouble, and my eye has seen its desire upon my enemies. Proverbs 15:12-13. A scoffer does not love one who corrects him, nor will he go to the wise. And then turn the page. In a merry heart makes a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of heart the spirit is broken. Luke 21:1-19. And he looked up, and he saw the rich putting their gifts into the treasury, and he saw also a certain poor widow putting in 2 mites. 2 mites is like the least amount of money you could have. And so he said, truly I say to you, that this poor widow has put in more than all, for all of these out of their abundance have put in the offering for God. But she, out of her poverty, put all the livelihood that she had. Then as some spoke of the temple, how it was adorned with beautiful stones and donations, he said, these things which you see, the days will come in which not one stone shall be left upon another, that shall not be thrown down. So they asked him, saying, Teacher, but when will these things be? And what sign will there be when these things are about to take place? And he said, Take heed that you do not be deceived, for many will come in my name, saying, I am he, and the time has drawn near. Therefore do not go after them. But when you hear of wars and commotions, do not be terrified, for these things must come to pass first, but the end will not come immediately. Then he said to them, Nations will rise against nations, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be great earthquakes in various places, and famines and pestilence. And 3, and there will be fearful sights and great signs from heaven. But before all these things, they will lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and prisons. And you will be brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. But it will turn out for you as an occasion for testimony. So here's a note. The treasury. It says here, 13 chests of funnel-shaped openings stood in the court of the women. Each was labeled for a specific use, and donations were given accordingly. Donations. Wealthy people gave gifts of gold and sculpture, golden plaques, and other treasuries to the temple. Herod had donated a golden vine with clusters of golden grapes, nearly 6 feet tall. The gifts were displayed on the walls and suspended in the portico. They constitute an unimaginable collection of wealth. All of these riches were looted by the Romans when the temple was destroyed. Verse 6. So then it says here, Therefore, settle it in your hearts not to meditate beforehand on what you will answer, for I will give you a mouth of wisdom, which all your adversaries will not be able to contradict or resist. You will be betrayed even by parents and brothers and relatives and friends, and they will put some of you to death, and you will be hated by all for my name's sake. But not a hair on your head shall be lost, but your patience possesses your souls. Contrast the pagan god of the Philistines and the living God. In Judges 5:2, Dagon is mentioned. Ugaritic literature identifies this deity as a god of grain or vegetation whose image had the lower body of a fish and the upper body of a man. Dagon seems to have been the leader of the Philistine pantheon, see Judges 16:23, and is noted to be the father of Baal. The placing of the ark of God in the temple of Dagon was supposed to be a sign of Dagon's power and Yahweh's inferiority, a visual representation that the God of the Philistines was vicious over or victorious over the God of the Hebrews. The next morning, the Philistines found Dagon had fallen on its face, 1 Samuel 3:3. Ironically, God himself overturned the supposed supremacy of Dagon by having Dagon fallen over, as if to pay homage to the Lord. The same thing happened the next morning, but this time the hands were broken off. The first display of God's authority over Dagon was not perceived. God's second display of authority, the cutting off of Dagon's head and hands, was a common sign that the enemy was dead. And then it gives Judges 7, 1 Samuel 17, 2 Samuel 4, and was to be understood as God's divine judgment on the false idol because of the head and the hands of Dagon fell on the threshold. Superstition developed that it was cursed. Therefore, the Philistines would not tread on it. In contrast to the hands of Dagon being cut off, of symbolizing his helplessness against the power of Yahweh, the Lord was pictured to be actively involved in judging the Philistines. The hand of the Lord was heavy on the people. The imagery of God's hand is found throughout the ark of the Lord was heavy on the people. The imagery of God's hand is found throughout the ark narrative. It has been suggested that tumors refers to the sores of boils caused by an epidemic of the bubonic plague carried by rats. Chapter 6, verses 4 and 5. The spread of the disease and its deadly effect make this a likely view. Dear Lord, thank you for this reading today. Cause us to learn the things that you would want us to learn from these readings this morning, and we ask your blessing on those who are hearing it today. In your name, amen. See ya.